Hey everybody, this is the Monday Night Football Show. We're here at Buffalo Wild Wings, and today we're going to have Jay the Voice on, and Joe Cravino from Defender Star, and also the Cruiserweight champ Ron Johnson is going to talk a little football and about his career. But first, we talk about the Eagles versus the Bears, and Carson Wentz versus the Bears defense of John Fox. And then we're going to talk a little later on about the eventual NFC East champion New York Giants, who I predict to win the NFC East.
Oh my
Is that correct,
God!
Mr. Eagle fan?
Is this guy out of his mind or
No,
what?
I'm not out of my mind.
This guy's out of his mind.
Okay, first of all, how are you going to stop?
Two,
First of all, how are you going to stop Odell Beckham, Victor Cruz, and Shepard?
He stops himself.
What do you mean he stops himself? What do you mean he stops himself?
He does.
What do you mean he
He's from
stops
New York. They all stop themselves.
Okay. No, seriously, how are you going to stop those three?
You will see.
I will see.
You will see. The Eagles will definitely be the NFC East champions.
Now, you had the Giants number before in the past.
We got the Giants number.
Not this year. The Giants are going to get you in. The Giants are going to beat
Not
you.
happening.
Giants going to beat you in MetLife. If the Giants lose in MetLife Stadium, I'm going to write a prepared apology on my show.
And I will definitely take it and post
in MetLife Stadium. I will bet you right
all
now.
all over social media.
I will write a prepared statement apologizing.
All over social media. I will put it all over.
That's not happening.
From the coast to coast.
No, okay, how you didn't answer my question. How you gonna stop Cruz, Shepard?
They stop themselves.
No, they don't
can't
stop
help
themselves.
it.
Eli Manning.
Eli.
What do you think about Eli Manning?
Interception throwing Eli Manning.
Oh, the interception throwing Eli Manning.
Are you serious?
Who's number 10 all time?
Interception
in
throwing
yards.
Eli Manning.
Okay,
he can't help himself.
First of all, he's number 10 all time in yards.
He's a wannabe. He want to be like his brother.
He is a wannabe, but he also has 2 championship rings.
He wants to be like his brother.
He has jewelry. Bring the Giant fan on. Bring the
Giant fan in.
Oh
my God!
Come on. Take care of my light work.
2 championship rings. 2. They're going to beat him this year. They're going to beat him at home, and he's going to beat him in
And
Philly.
I think they got dust on them by now. You got 2. You got 2. They got dust on them like the Cowboys.
Nothing.
Like the Cowboys rings got dust on them.
Oh, come on.
Got dust on them.
What? Cowboys ain't doing nothing either.
No, they're not. The Cowboys ain't doing nowhere either. It's all green this year.
No, this
green like money. Green like money.
No green like money.
Green like money.
Big Blue Wrecking Crew.
No.
Big Blue.
They're wrecked. They're wrecked.
Our producer is a little delusional. The Giants will win the division. When we come back, we're going to have Joe Cravino on from Defender Star and Jay the Voice. We're back here at Buffalo Wild Wings Monday Night Football Show. I have Joe Cravino from Defender Star, the Dallas Cowboy guy. He does memorabilia, but he's actually a journalist because you're on the field, you're actually reporting. And then we have Jay, the Voice, and you do more than just that.
Yes, I am the play-by-play announcer for the It's All About Sports Broadcasting Network.
Well, that's awesome. First of all, now we're going to talk about, I'm going to go to you. We're going to talk about the Bears and the Eagles. What do you think the key for the Eagles are?
You know, there's certainly a lot of keys for tonight's game. I was told that the Eagles are going to be without 2 missing pieces in tight end Zach Ertz and Leonis McElvin. And I think it really all starts at the quarterback position with Carson Wentz, who's making his first road start. He's a former Division I AA quarterback at North Dakota State, so I think this is, I think I heard it's kind of like a homecoming for him because he's from the Midwest. It'll be very interesting to see how he can perform on the road against a very hostile crowd like Chicago, because I was told that the Bears fans are among some of the most hostile fans in all of football.
More than Philly, don't really.
I mean, we know that. We know that.
Come on now.
Oh, you know, Philadelphia does have very passionate fans.
Yeah, passionate.
Passionate, yeah, I know. They usually say that that's the key. I do think that they can be hostile times, but I think that it starts with Carson Wentz at the position. The run game's got to really come on depending on the health of Ryan Matthews. And that's been really the case all season, is how healthy can Ryan Matthews be. Jordan Matthews had a big breakout game last week in the Eagles in their first win. And that's really the key. They have a good combination, actually, with Wentz and Matthews.
Before I go to Joe, I like their pass rush. I think that's going to be the key for them to stay in the NFC East race. Is their defense and their pass rush?
You know, I think with the defensive line, it's probably among the best lines we've had in a long time.
Fletcher Cox,
Benny Logan. and Connor Barwin moving from linebacker to DN. I really believe that this is the type of team that can surprise a lot of experts, and the Eagles have really looked a lot better than I thought they would. And against a tough team like Chicago tonight, I think this will be a good test. They'll really need to get to Cutler fast, and if they can't get to Cutler, I think Jeffrey could really do a number on their secondary.
Now I'm going to go to you, Joe, Defend the Star. That's your website. As a Cowboys fan, we're going to talk NFC East football. Were you happy to see how Dak Prescott played? He hasn't thrown the long ball yet, but he's very efficient. What I like about Dak Prescott is his brain, his IQ, because NFL right now is a process IQ sport as far as the quarterback position.
Yeah, I definitely think the way he commands the huddle, the way he comes to the way he comes to practice, presents himself. He obviously doesn't look like a one-game rookie, two-game rookie. No. He does have the weapons around him. He does have Zeke. He does have a great offensive line. He has Des Bryant, Jason Witten to throw to. He's taken a liking to Cole Beasley. I'd like to see him maybe get Terrence Williams a little more involved, or another receiver, Lucky Whitehead maybe. But he's selling guys on his athleticism. If you watch the two games, both games, he was able to roll out, make things happen, create some time. Even with the pass rush, he doesn't get excited. He's not looking to run first, but I think it's hurt him and helped him in the first two games, where I think they put in a perfect game plan where he's not meant to lose the game. He's controlling the game, but they're letting him open it up a little. They're letting him, if he sees something down the field, don't just tuck it away and run, throw it. And thank God so far he hasn't thrown an interception or turned the ball over. Obviously, that doesn't last forever, but that's one of the key things in this league, especially when you're a rookie. You lose the turnover battle, it's hard to win games.
So let's deal with the elephant in the room. When Tony Romo comes back, your Dallas Cowboy fan base out here is like, hey, let's keep Dak Prescott. We don't need Romo. We'll go to the Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback.
Well, listen,
What do you think? Because Romo will be back, and that's your key if you want a chance to have a good run in the playoffs.
And I'm one of the biggest Tony Romo guys, and I understand he makes mistakes. And then people are already saying in Dallas, well, we could have lost both these games because, Romo would have threw a pick or two or this and that. But the bottom line is, if this same thing happened these first two games and it was Tony Romo in there, they probably would have been crucifying him at the end of the first Giant game.
But if they were playing the Giants coverage is totally different.
Right.
Instead of how they covered it, they would have had to really treat Romo with respect. They knew Dak Prescott didn't know as much, so they changed their defensive philosophy. But with Romo, you would have had to honor the run, and if he has the play action, and he can run, and he can beat your defense, and he can read your mail on defense. That's the key.
Absolutely. And I think it really reminds me of when Romo came in. He comes in off the bench, he throws a couple of touchdowns, and the Cowboy faithful are ready to put him in the Ring of Honor.
Yes.
They're like, this is the second coming, he's the greatest thing ever, blah, blah, blah. I always say, when you don't have something like people who don't like Romo or people who don't see him winning, all of a sudden you see a young, fresh kid that can start moving the ball. It looks great. But the bottom line is he is moving the ball really well, but the offense is also stalling in the red zone still. So it's still some of the same mistakes that you see under Romo, but the spotlight is not on Romo now. Now all of a sudden Prescott's not getting the spotlight. It's, Cole dropped the pass, or Dez should have caught this, or Zeke is not running hard, or he's fumbling, and this. I'm like, wow, Dak's really getting a good, easy pass on some of these, but it's great. I think giving him all the confidence in the world, and I'm sure the coaching staff and the management instilled in him, yes, you're doing great, and your time will come.
See, he's building for the future, which
Absolutely.
I like. Now, Jay, I want to ask you. I love your coaching staff on the Eagles. I think you're not quite ready yet, even though Robert talked all that nonsense about the Eagles. I do love your future. I love that you have a good base set up. Your defensive coordinator, from what I heard, is like a genius. I love Doug Peterson as a coach. He brings a lot of Andy Reid philosophies to the table.
Well, he's actually an assistant. He was a former assistant with Coach Reid. He also is a former player under Coach Reid. We have probably two of the most well-respected, I guess you could say, players / coaches that have really ever been assembled to this staff. Frank Reich is known as the comeback kid from all his years. If you remember all his years back in Buffalo, Jim Schwartz has always been a well-respected coach from his days. in both Detroit and as a defensive coordinator in Buffalo, and he brought Leotis McElvin actually with him, and he actually signed Stephen Tulloch. He was kind of the brains to signing Stephen Tulloch on that defensive front. So I think this coaching staff, like you said, it is going to take time for us. I do think that Doug Peterson, I had a chance to talk with Vince Papale a couple months ago, and he mentioned to me that he believes that, like Dick Vermeil, who's a very good players coach in the 80s, that Doug Peterson could be that kind of guy that could be a very long tenured coach for years to come.
I like that. You have stability. And now, fellas, let's talk about the New York Giants.
Oh, jeez. Here we go.
We're in Giant country. Yeah, we're going to talk about the New York Giants. This is why I do feel like they're going to win the division because of the free agent acquisitions. I love Olivier Vernon. I love Janoris Jenkins, even though he's a gambler, because you know him. Leonard Hall from the Bengals. That hurt the Bengals. I think that's going to help the Giants. Now, I want to ask you this, because you're on the field, and you've been in Dallas games, and Josh Norman and Des Bryant, they're cool. They'll talk trash, they're cool. But Odell Beckham and Josh Norman is nasty.
There's a hatred.
Okay, what do you think the NFL, as far as security and everything, how are they going to how are they going to cover this game? Because you know there's going to be security guards.
Yeah.
There's not going to be anything pregame nonsense like last year.
No, and I don't think it's going to get to the point of last year. Obviously, with the new rules, I think was inserted because of them too. You get 2 penalties directed at you in a non-sportsmanlike conduct. You're getting tossed out of the game. So obviously, you know, I blame both players, but I also blame both coaches. Tom Coughlin was known as this disciplinarian, and he never once pulled Beckham to the side and says, you know, get this guy out of your head. You know, you're ruining the game. At the point of halftime, I think he had 1 catch for like 13 yards. You know, he was shutting them down. You're fighting or this. I don't think the NFL doesn't like the hype because it talks about it all week and every sports show, and you know, non-sports fans are talking about it and everything. But I think they're going to be real competitive. You know, as a Cowboy fan, it makes me want to watch it. Redskin Giant game, see what happens. I'm rooting for Josh Norman, I guess, in that situation.
Yes, we're gonna get to fan base question in a minute. I want to come back to you. Give me your top 4 teams in the NFC from 4.
And the NFC?
In the NFC East.
In the East?
Just the NFC East.
Rank in the East.
Rank in the East.
Oh,
give me your
geez.
4 top team from 1 to 4.
You know, on paper, I had really thought that the Redskins really stood atop at number 1, but then after the 0-2 start, now I think it's going to take. I think it's definitely a long season, so the Redskins could certainly bounce back. On paper, they, I think, have the best quarterback in the entire NFC East. I mean, I respect Eli Manning. He has won 2 Super Bowls. He's probably one of the most. Is among them probably the most decorated family in NFL history.
Well, they have 4 rings.
They also have they have 3 Manning NFL players. They have Archie. They have Peyton, and they have, of course, Cooper. I would probably rank Philadelphia as 2nd, just because I just feel like Dallas took a really big hit when they lost Romo. It's hard to say how much. How valuable Dak Prescott could be, and no matter what, when Romo is and does come back, they're gonna, he's going to be the starter, and Dak then goes back to the bench. But I do think until then, this is a good opportunity for Dak to shine. So I'll probably go with Washington at 1. I'll go with Philadelphia 2. Probably put New York at 3, and then Dallas at 4. If I had to put for the rankings, I still feel like Washington is that good, and Josh Norman was a huge offseason addition for the Redskins.
This is my issue with Washington. They're messed internally. Josh Norman was about to do the Muhammad Ali shuffle on his teammate during the Steeler game.
Well, yeah.
He's ready to fight his own teammate.
Well, and that's what they said about D'Angelo Hall, but he's also – but on paper, if they are who they are, they could be the 2 best corners, I think, in this division. They're all pros, in my opinion.
I have an issue with the coaching staff. And
you don't like Jay Gruden?
I think Jay Gruden's a great coordinator. I don't know if he's a great leader as a coach. And number 2, you got to figure out how to deal with this locker room. They're ticked off at Cousins. He threw a ridiculous interception in the red zone. They don't think he's much of a leader. and you have a potential mutiny on your hands. And if they lose to the Giants and go 0-3 and the season's going in the tank,
well, then that's a
and Josh
different.
Stewart
Yeah, well, that's a
gets to
different
say
story,
whatever
though.
comes to his mind.
But that's a different story, though. If they
it's a
lose, I think
mess.
they could win. I really think they
they're
could
gonna-
win.
No, I think the Giants
I think
gonna
they.
light 'em up.
No, I
all
think they
three of
beat
us-
New York.
I think all three of us would have a different opinion 2 weeks ago than we do today. You know, obviously when you start 0-2, you just said that you thought maybe the Redskins would have been first. Now all of a sudden
Yes,
you're throwing
and things
three.
really did. I agree. Things absolutely changed.
Just like prior to the season, I would have put the Eagles at 3 or 4 just because I said, well, it takes even a good coach or a great coach a year or two.
And I don't disagree with you
before
on
he
that.
gets-
I don't disagree with you on
before
that
he gets the
at
team
any way.
together. You know, he's still trying to muster through Chip Kelly's mess at
Yes.
this point.
I'm actually impressed the way he mentioned how good Philadelphia's defensive front line is. I mean, that's probably not even the first thing
Oh, I
that
love
Philadelphia
that defensive
fans
line.
would ever talk about. They would not talk about. They would probably center really around the quarterback. Trading Sam Bradford was probably the biggest surprise that I think Eagles fans got, and getting and inserting Carson Wentz into the starting line it was definitely, you know what, I figured even in a game against a terrible, inconsistent football program like the Cleveland Browns, I figured they'd still lose just because the Eagles always seem to find a way to lose that first game
Yeah,
against
but you're putting them in a
against a
perfect
bad team.
situation. Though.
Yeah, they were
Well, yeah,
playing-
no, I agree with
they
that.
were playing a high
Sure.
school team, basically.
And
I agree with-
I hate hearing people say, "Well, you got to let the guy wait 2 years." Like, look at Aaron Rodgers. Look at this one. You know, I go back to Troy Aikman. He was in the worst situation, in the worst time.
Remember the 11 sacks
taking
against his
taking
Rotten
a
Eagles?
beating. You know, this and that. To me, the only way to learn, I don't care how good you are on the bench, the only way to learn is to get out there and do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to get out there and do it, they trade Sam Bradford. It shows that you're confident that you're the guy. You put him up against the Browns.
You couldn't start Chase Daniel.
Right.
You could not
You could
start
not,
Chase
no.
Daniel. Probably the worst quarterback
and not only
I've ever
that,
seen.
the division, just like always, is up in the air. It's up for grabs.
It's always been one of
in
my
disarray.
favorite. It's probably the most exciting division ever since
why
I
love our
became a
division?
football
Because
fan.
before the season, you said the Redskins look like the best team, and I'm sitting here looking, thinking, I think 2 weeks later, Redskins look like the worst team.
Now,
I don't think they're the worst team, but I
just
think
want to tell
yeah.
you guys something. Fan base. This is the most passionate fan bases, the most trash talking fan bases around. Who do the Eagles hate more, the Cowboys or the Giants?
Oh my
'Cause
God!
they're out there.
Oh my
And
God!
There's a hatred for both.
I think they hate the Cowboys more than they hate the Giants. I really believe that.
I like
They
that.
know every person I've ever been friends with back home in Philadelphia has had more of a hatred for the Cowboys because of the fact that they feel that Dallas is truly America's
and
team.
Dallas' fans look down on the Eagles and Giants.
Yes, and I think that the Eagles and Giants at times can coexist, but I don't think Philadelphia fans can truly coexist with these. And I'll tell you what, I think that Dallas fans are very passionate, but you also get Dallas fans from different parts of the country. Heck, you get Dallas fans from different parts of the world. New York Giants fans are the passionate Jersey, New York type of fans.
I agree.
That's the roots that they
And
have.
Philadelphia, South Jersey, and Philadelphia.
Right.
Dallas
Yes,
is all
I
over.
agree with that.
Okay, Joe, it's time to confess today.
Uh-oh.
Who is your most hated team and why?
Absolutely the Giants. Growing up 30 minutes or so from Giant Stadium, my family being diehard Giant fans, season ticket holders, just a harassment in my own home. I was the outcast that picked the team that nobody else liked. And on Mondays, I was scared to go to work, scared to go to school, getting harassed, you know. So the 90s was my coming out party.
Did
I
you ever
graduated-
actually get beat up in school
No,
when you
not
were
beat up because I was an athlete and I was always around I was always in a good group of people.
Oh.
But the bad thing was, I graduated high school in 1992. So
Okay,
everybody's
well,
like, "Oh,
yeah.
that's great."
Back
But
when the
here's-
Cowboys
here's-
won the Super
No,
Bowl.
but here's the bad part. We graduated in June of 92.
Oh,
So my
jeez.
high school years was 91, 90,
Oh,
89, 88. 3-13, 1-15.
Yeah, but you won the Super Bowl that one year.
No.
But the
But by the time I
Bowl,
retired, we
remember
wouldn't win the
Thanksgiving?
Super Bowl yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you were
I was
the
going
Bowl.
through. If you look at my yearbook,
Thanksgiving.
my yearbook is signed by everybody, including teachers, and it's Cowboys suck, Giants this,
They say- yeah,
start this.
I don't-
mean, it's just harassment. I literally was like, the year after I graduated, was calling people. Remember when you used to harass me? So to me, I understand what you're saying about we almost feel like we're better than everybody because in the 90s, we had the players actually gave us the hope of we don't care what you're going to run. We don't care what you're going to do. We're going to do this, and we're better. And
but
we're
you also
do
did it the right way. You had the best system. You drafted Troy Aikman. You drafted Evan Smith. You drafted Michael Irvin.
If I could win the lottery and pull Jimmy Johnson out of Fox, I would right now.
Well, listen, let me tell you about the Dallas. Let me tell you about, before we leave this segment, let me tell you about the Dallas Giant rivalry. You got him in '94. You played for the home field. That was the game Emmett got hurt.
Broke his shoulder. Yep.
And you needed that to give him a rest, and you went on that run and won the Super Bowl.
16-13.
That was the biggest game of the year. Then Eli comes along, and you really should have. Clayton ran his mouth because you had beat him all the time, and then you lost to him in Dallas.
In Dallas, home field advantage. Parcells. We were.
It was.
Oh, you're talking about the one before
2007.
Parcells? Okay, so before Parcells.
It was after Parcells.
Oh, after Parcells.
After Parcells in 2007.
Okay, with Jason Garrett,
it was Phillips.
Right. Wade Phillips. Right.
And you had
13-3.
Twice.
Right. Beat them up bad, and then they came in us and beat us.
Premature celebration, and then the Giants won. Then it was 2011, the final game of the year in Giant Stadium.
My whole past here.
But I'm just saying, is that where the hatred came because the Giant fans might have got a little cocky with you?
You know, I think. Listen, everybody loves to dish it out. Nobody loves to take it. Let me tell you, I got it taken my whole life. Never saw the Cowboys win until 1992. So all of a sudden, we win in 92, we win 93, we win 95, and I'm dishing it out like free candy on Halloween. But then all of a sudden, I would say to the Giants, you guys haven't won in 20 years. Now the Giants win 2 Super Bowls, and all I keep hearing is, you guys haven't won in 20 years. So it's almost like the same thing going over and over, decade after decade, of now it's their turn, now it's our turn. Hopefully we're coming to the end of the Eli era, and their turn is over.
But to me, as far as I'm concerned, you have the Steelers, Ravens, you have the Jets and Dolphins, and there's rivalries, but it seems like from a verbal standpoint, the Cowboys and Giants rivalry is the nastiest in the NFL.
Well, like the voice was just saying about trash talking, the Giants to me come across like they're owed something. All of a sudden they're anointed as the classiest NFL organization. Oh, we're so classy. We do things the right way. We do this. We do this. But then all of a sudden, you know, their kicker gets the same allegations that a player that the Cowboys get, and they're calling us the thugs and the jail guys.
That's the fan base.
And then all of a sudden, their kicker gets busted, or you know, their guy does something. And all of a sudden, well, we're the classiest organization in the league. I don't know who anointed them the classiest, but I always feel like, you know, we talk trash, they talk trash.
I think everybody talks trash.
It's the skins, and that's how it is. Guys, I'd like to thank you very much. You guys
Good
are great.
times.
Thank you very much.
When we come back, we're going to have the Cruiserweight champion, Ron Johnson, on. I'm back here at the Buffalo Wild Wings Monday Night Football Show. I'm here with the man who made it all happen, Rich Tier, resident Cowboy fan too. Now, we were talking about football and everything. It just seems like it makes sense to have a football show here because everybody comes here and they love wings.
Absolutely.
It's just like a perfect marriage. What do you think?
I think that's spot on. You know, just like it says, wings, beer, sports. It's all about the football for us. It's our busiest time of the season. Hell, our people wear jerseys all the time. And, you know, we're all about the football, especially the Dallas.
Let me tell you something, a little insight. Before you got here, I had the hamburgers. It was all right. I watched Alabama versus Ole Miss Saturday here, ordered a hamburger. It was one of the best burgers ever. What happened? What happened?
You know what? We have some finely trained people back there.
It could compete with anybody, even though you don't talk about the burgers a lot.
You are being very kind, and I appreciate that. I truly do. Wings are what we do, but our burgers are darn good, and our sandwiches too.
And this is what else I heard. A lot of people like the mozzarella sticks.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I got to try it.
We have to try that.
Okay, I got to try it.
I'll get some up here for you.
Oh, I'm all for that.
Oh, yeah, we're all about that.
You know, finally, what's really the goal beyond what we're doing here? What are the different events that you have coming up?
You know, we recently had the Mayor's Commission, Youth Commission down here. We did something with Sean, who's another coach that you know very well. Mm-hmm. And Sean came up with an e-reader for children with special needs. And we're all about giving back to the community and helping out the community. So what we wanted to do was we sponsored the event. We do things called Eat Wings and Raise Funds, where you can come in and we'll donate a percentage of the day's checks to that charity.
Okay.
And the more traffic we get through, the higher that percentage goes, all the way up to 20%. So I would love to take anybody who has their pet thing that they want to do, whether it's, feed the children, whether it's UNICEF, whether it's, any the local PD or a fire department, with like the youth commission for the mayor. We're going to be sponsoring a family. We're going to actually adopt a family for the holidays. And we just want to give back to the community, showing that we really genuinely care about the people around us. That's what it's about.
Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you.
Okay. I am here with the Cruiserweight Champion of the World, Ron Johnson. It's good to finally meet you and talk with you. Okay, before we get to boxing, who's your favorite football team?
My favorite football, I'm gonna have to go with my Cleveland Browns. They disappoint me, but
They look good in the first half.
They did. Hey, I'm so used to it now. It's just check my blood pressure in between the game, and I would never be able to fight again if you could check my blood pressure.
And before we get into boxing, I don't want to outdate myself, but the Browns used to be good when they had Bernie Kosar.
That's a funny thing because when I was a kid, I used to call him Bernie Coleslaw because I couldn't pronounce his last name. So, and everyone used to laugh at me.
So that was the good old days. But now you're making the city of Cleveland proud. You're the Cruiserweight Champion of the world. You were just fought in Tijuana.
Yes.
Now your opponent, it was his hometown. It looked like he talked a little stuff before you gave him a beatdown.
Oh, yeah. He told me, he was just talking a lot of trash, and he had a translator there. They were betting, saying he's going to knock me out. But I always tell people, Mike Tyson had always that saying, everyone has a game plan until they get punched in the mouth. So.
Until they get punched in the mouth.
So that's it.
But who's the top cruiserweights? You're looking at your competitors. Who are the top cruiserweights that everybody talks about?
You got a Dennis Lebedev. You got Bebu Shimonov. You got a few different guys out there that hold titles right now. But I'm actually going to campaign either at cruiserweight or at light heavyweight. So I'm actually going to probably fight for the light heavyweight title by December. So I'm actually going to move down in weight. So.
What about a Kovalev?
That's where I got my eyes. Set on
that's where the money is. That's a good move.
I love challenges, and I like the person that they like to try to call the boogeyman.
Yeah.
But I think Andre Ward might beat him first. So if he beat him first, then me and Ward come up together since we were kids. That's one of my best friends. But hey, if it has to happen,
it has to happen. I'm gonna tell you something. What about Superman Stevenson?
Oh, I love to fight him.
Because he's built like a cruiserweight his size.
Right. He's a southpaw, very heavy-handed. He trains with Javen Hill out of Detroit, and Kronk. I've known those guys my whole entire life too, as well. So I would love to fight him as well.
Now, if you're still at cruiserweight, how do you make the cruiserweight marketable? Because the light heavyweight's marketable. HBO talks about that. They talk about the heavyweight. They talk about the middleweights. They talk about the welterweights, the Thurman, and all those guys. If you did stay at cruiserweight, how can that be marketable? Where the HBOs or the PBCs or the Al Haymans come to you? How do you make that happen?
Well, you make it marketable by, having great performances, and not just performances in the ring, but you got to do a little bit of outside the ring things. Bring some different entertainers to the fight. Make it exciting. Make it an event. When I come out to the ring, maybe have an artist bring me out as well. So something that can, make fans remember this fight, this division. Like, wow, I want to see that guy again. Because you think about it, years ago when Roy Jones was at light heavyweight, the light heavyweight division was weak then.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they say was weak. But Roy brought the excitement to light heavyweight. When everybody wanted to watch Roy Jones fight, they say he's fighting nobody, but like he said in this song, he just make them look like nobody because they were world-class fighters, So, you just kind of have to have that same approach like a Roy. Roy Jones, like I said, he was the master marketer when at that time in a division that wasn't so popular to the fans, So
let me ask you a question here, and I'm fascinated to hear from your take from a boxer's perspective. Do you think there should be some sort of commission or whatever where they allow you to get some type of pension fund where you have money coming back when you're retired, and just like the NFL and,
Right.
and the major leagues of basketball.
See, that's probably one of the downfalls of boxing. But then on the flip side, it's one of those things. It's like the beauty and the beast. I should say, because if for that to happen, that means that boxing would have to change the whole landscape, and it would have to be all governed by one sanctioning body, under one organization, with a lot of different stipulations and a lot of rules. Like what I tell people a lot about boxing, one of the reasons why I love it, because it's not like college. Like, say if a kid is 18 years old, he do something stupid in college, and he's playing college football. 80% of the time, if you ain't that star guy, your career is over with. It's pretty much over.
Yeah.
Boxing always give people second chance, third chance, fourth chance, fifth chance, sixth chance at life. To no matter what the age group is, or no matter what you've done in your life, it's always got a place for you in the business. That's a good thing and it's a bad thing, because you dealing with all sorts of characters in the boxing. But then that's what makes boxing boxing. It's been like that since the beginning of time, whether you're dealing with the mafia, all these different organizations. So, I would love to see fighters that spend a lot of years into this and have something after it's over. But then it's so many different pay grades. So, how would that be structured? Because you got guys who fight so long and never really make more than $10,000 a fight. Like, what are they going to really live off of? And then you got some guys who making millions of dollars a fight. So it'd be hard to do, but I would love to see a lot of the fighters get taken care of after,
Finally, I want you to tell the audience what you're involved in as far as the reality show, who's a producer, and break all that down for everyone.
Oh, yeah. I just signed on to be the star of season 3 of Knockout. Knockout is a reality TV show. It's going to be on Nuvo and Fuse. So that's going to air in January. We start filming at the end of October, first week in November. And it's going to be great. A lot of stars going to be on there. Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather Sr., a lot of big names. And basically, that's going to help the cruiserweight division as well, because this year they focus on the cruiserweight division. And that's going to bring a lot of popularity there. And I know I'm going to shine on the show. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to have a lot of friends, a lot of big names come on to the show. And it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Sounds awesome.
And, the executive producer is it's like a big brother of mine. I helped him get Knockout started, actually, a few years ago. His name is Steve Marcano. He's got a long resume in the business as well.
I got the chance to meet Steve Marcano. He's a great dude. Thanks a lot, man, and keep
Thank
winning.
you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to doing many more interviews with you.
Yes, me
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.